I'm Ehi Owe and I'm a medical doctor from Nigeria. And I've been meaning to make this video or series of videos about relocating to the UK via the PLAB route. Over time, I'm going to be talking about IELTS, and then I'll be talking about PLAB 1, talking about PLAB 2, and then just basically giving you tips on how I did it so you can do it too. You obviously don't know me, eventually you will, but for now we're just going to stick to PLAB 2 because that's the most recent exam I wrote, and that's what I can talk about at the moment, and that's what I also feel like I've got a lot of friends I can talk to about and help. So for your PLAB 2 exam, it's basically a face-to-face exam where you're talking to an examiner, more like you're talking to a patient, but the examiner is also listening and scoring you as you go. So it's like a hospital scenario. You're basically in the hospital. That's what it is. So when you have when you go to the exam, you have about 16 stations. You have two rest stations, and that makes it a total of 18. So twice you'll be sitting doing absolutely nothing, and then for 16 stations you will have to talk to a patient. It is 8 minutes per patient. At the 6 minutes, you get a bell to let you know that you've got just 2 minutes left, and that's when most people have to get to management if they haven't already. In the exam, you're scored on your management skills, you're scored on your data gathering skills, you're scored on your interpersonal skills too. And the whole process is pretty straightforward if you are well prepared for it. There are various ways to prepare for it. You could go to different academies, you could read online with the books that are available. Some of them are really very helpful for me. You could also use the notes from your colleagues that have been to academies if they've got notes. There's some old notes that exist, so you could use that too. When you do decide to do your PLAB too, it's always very important to know that you should read in a limited way. That is, all the information that you need is pretty much in the books that are already available, and they're pretty much available in all the questions that you're practicing. So you do not have to go read medicine proper like in your textbooks, because that will not be very effective for you. You've got a limited time, and there are limited questions on that day. Another part I'm going to be talking about is the post PLAB 2, because that's a very important part that nobody told me about. You think when you write your PLAB 2, everything is pretty straightforward, but it's not. I know it's not. So after your PLAB, you've got to get ready to apply for jobs. You've got to know how to apply for jobs. You've got to create a CV, which is an online CV. You've got to decide if you're going to work for the NHS or work for the private sector like NES. You've got to know how to get through to NES, and you've got to know how to apply for jobs in the NHS. Now, you've got to know how to write your CV explaining all your roles. Like when you talk about your job, you're not just going to talk about, oh, I did this at a particular time. You're actually going to say your roles, what you did, both your clinical skills and like your managerial, your leadership skills. It is a long process for most people, so you've got to be patient with yourself because it does take time. Most of the time to get a job, it takes a few months, and that can be really frustrating because after the exam, you really do think it's straightforward and you get a job immediately, but that's not always the case. You've just got to be patient with yourself and trust the process. Keep applying for jobs, apply for as many as you can. I did not apply for as much as other people, but that's because I was busy at the time with a sprinkle of laziness, obviously. But just keep applying for jobs and you'll be called for an interview. When you get called for an interview, it's important for you to be on a group. There is this Telegram group for IMGs, especially Nigerians, and it'll be really helpful because on Telegram you have the messages from even before you join the group. So you can search the trust and you would see questions that have been asked already. Usually the questions that have been asked already may be asked to you. That happened in my case, and that would be really helpful. You've got to be confident for your interviews and you've got to smile a lot, which as Nigerians we're not very used to, but you have to figure out a way to do that. So you've got to get your license too. All these things I'm going to explain with more videos. I'm going to have a video dedicated to post PLAB 2, pre-PLAB 2, PLAB 1, IELTS. You could tell me what you want me to discuss first. I do feel like at the moment it will probably be more effective to talk more about the post-PLAB 2 and the PLAB 2 itself, because I realized that there are not a lot of videos about stuff like that. I couldn't find any videos to help myself. But for the IELTS and PLAB 1, there are a lot of videos concerning that. So I will be focusing on the post-PLAB. So I'm just going to get my materials ready and try and remember everything I went through and make videos about that for you guys. When you do get a job, it is another process. Adjusting to the system, which is a completely new, different system from what you're used to, is another thing entirely. So I'm going to do a video about that, because for the first 4 weeks of my job, the first week I was very happy. The next 3 weeks I was definitely depressed. So that is something very important to talk about. Also, how to get into training. I can't talk about that because I'm just in the process of trying to find out how to get into training. But you can get into training. I can advise you on how to get into JP training, because a lot of my colleagues did that just after the PLAB 2. I did not do that because I think I would like to train somewhere else and not become a GP. But if I do change my mind, I might decide to do that. When you come here, things like accommodation is ridiculously difficult. It's ridiculously difficult. So I could give you tips on sites to get a place, how to do your viewing from Nigeria, how to like find out if you're living in a good area, tips on how to get a bank account. When you come for your PLAB 2, you do need a bank account, a temporary one at least. I had one. I had Revolut. I love Revolut. They gave me a bank account. The other people did not give me a bank account. I will not mention their name. So that's what I would advise you to do, because you can't walk around with cash. It is mostly a cashless society, so you can't walk around with cash. How to get a bank account, how to get money into your bank account, how to get accommodation, how to get ready to come, because it depends on when you're coming. It can be really cold, and most times you're not dressed enough, or you don't have the right clothes when you're coming. So we're going to talk about that. When you start living here, how to find your African restaurant, what to travel with. When you're traveling here and you're coming with some stuff that I think are unnecessary, because you can easily get it from the African store, when you could have put your other important things like your native and your Ankara in your boxes. If you do like native and Ankara, just take that from this video, pack that, and leave all the other stuff. Whatever you need, you can find here. You can find your hair, you can find your food here. You will not find your native hair, and it won't be cheap if you do find it. Your clothes also are too light from back home. So when you come here, you need something thicker, so you end up buying new clothes. Do you get what I mean? So that's what we're going to be talking about. Basically, we're going to be talking about the whole process from house job, because I started saving from house job. We're going to be talking about the whole process from house job, how to start saving, what to decide, how to adjust your timeline in such a way that as you finish house job, you start your PLAB. As you finish your PLAB, you come here for your exam and stuff. So we'll be doing that, and then we'll move on to the IELTS itself, how to prepare. Liz and other people we're also going to owe it. I will find out about it because I didn't do that, and we'll also talk about that. Then from that, we'll move into PLAB 1, how to prepare, PLABable, and some of the other materials that you will need, discussion groups if that's what you like. Then we'll move into PLAB 2, and in PLAB 2, I think I'm going to spend much more time on that, and I'm also going to try to make these videos as short as possible, because I like to discuss cases like ethics, how to approach ethics, medicine emergencies, how to approach that, mannequin stations, how to approach that, LGBTQ, how to attend those stations, psychiatric stations, obstetric stations, pediatric stations. So we would be having a discussion about that. And if at any time you want me to discuss a particular section, maybe your exam is coming, you can just put that in the comment section, and I will do that as soon as I can, because I am working. And then from PLAB 2, we'll move into post-PLAB 2 trauma and PTSD, and thinking you failed when you've actually not failed. Then we'll move to getting your license, the easiest way to get it, how to have all the materials you need, because people like us from Nigeria, we do spend time in school because we have industrial actions, which are strikes, and for that reason, we spend longer than 6 years. You have to explain that, you have to get the proof. If you have all that already, it's better. Getting your EPIC verification ready, we're going to discuss all those things. Getting your license, and then setting up your application sites, NHS jobs or track jobs, getting in touch with people from NES, and then how to get the job. When you get the job, how to attend the interview. When you've done the interview, how to adjust to the job. So it's going to be bits and pieces, and it's going to be definitely mixed across boards, I think. And then yeah, so that will be what we'll be doing. And then with a sprinkle of drama and a sprinkle of advice and a sprinkle of me just being a total clown. That's what we're going to be doing for the next few weeks. Consistency is key. I will try my best to be consistent. That is me making a promise to all of you guys. So yeah, it is a short video. I have tried. I kept it within 11 minutes. So with that being said, I am a hero here, and I will leave you guys now to go back and prepare for your exams, or go back and attend to that patient that the nurse is calling you to attend to. And until the next video.